Hey everybody, I wanted to do a follow-up video. So this video is going to be another interview, but I wanted to appreciate everyone who came, liked, and subscribed and got me to monetization from the Dr. Umar Johnson video. I just wanted everyone to know that this video is going to stay mostly about finances, investing, and things of that nature. So hopefully this follow-up interview that I'm doing, not with Dr. Umar Johnson, but with Rabbi Harry Rosenberg or Rabbi Harry Rosenberg, shows how you could talk to different people and also gain knowledge on how there is a common theme with people who are good with money, no matter where you're from, what diaspora you're from, what walk of life, the way that you worship, or anything like that. There are common tenets to people who are good with money, and people who are watching this channel are either good with money or trying to get good with money. So I wanted to do this video, especially with some of the other things going on in the headlines, to hopefully be a bridge between two communities in this video, especially having someone like Dr. Umar on to follow up with Rabbi Harry Rosenberg or Rabbi Harry Rosenberg. I think would be a good way to follow up that interview. So, if for those who aren't familiar with Rabbi Harry Rosenberg, if you ever seen the video on YouTube or Facebook where there was a rabbi who was saying that there was people of Jewish descent in Nigeria and that they even DNA tested these people and 10% of them or so had a Y chromosome from the Jewish people. This is the same Rabbi. He came on this channel. He didn't have much time when he first did it. So if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, we're going to do a part two. I had such a good time with him. I'm probably going to do a part two regardless. But this interview, we're going to talk about money, finances, and how that factors into a Jewish way of life. Because I might be walking down a different path. If you saw my other video when I did my 23andMe, I am part Ashkenazi Jewish, and I think I might go down that path. So this is a video I wanted to do for the channel, especially with the things in the headlines, to hopefully bring all the people who came to my channel from the Dr. Umar Johnson video, and hopefully gain new subscribers, but to hopefully close that bridge, close that gap, and show that there are common tenets between all of us. And if you want to get with money, there's just certain things you have to do no matter who you are. So hopefully I can demystify some of the things about the Jewish community that have been going on. And hopefully you enjoy this interview with Rabbi Harry Rosenberg.
Hey folks, they came from up the road. Came from up the road. Is that better with the light on?
Yeah, that's great. I know your time is of the essence, so I wanted to come talk today. I just did an interview with Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, so I wanted to get
Yes, of course.
another perspective on the channel. And with everything going on in the news, I thought it would be good to have you on. I saw some of your interviews with the Black Hebrew Israelite movements. My channel is mostly focused on economics, though, so we're not going to get into some of the stuff that they get into. So let's just start. For those that don't know, this is Rabbi Harry. He's a prominent rabbi on YouTube. He's probably one of the more famous ones on the YouTube. So if you search him on YouTube, you'll see some of the other videos that he did. And for those that don't know, I'm Nick. First and foremost, can you explain what a rabbi is?
Sure. The best way I could explain a rabbi to people who are alive today who understand modern culture is like a blockchain, right? So why is the Bitcoin and the blockchain so cool and so trusted? Because it's got peer consensus internationally on the transactions that happen. So basically, a rabbi is a chain of rabbis that go all the way back to Moses, that for every single generation from Moses created a block of information that was passed down saying this is what our ancestors said and this is what they did. And if anyone tried to insert information into that blockchain that was foreign to the chain, it would get burned, kicked out. The guy would be banned from the community. So it's a trusted system of information that's passed on from generation to generation. And a rabbi is the holder of that information.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I know some of the people watching probably wouldn't know. So I know we don't have that much time, and I'm sorry, guys. But Rabbi Harry is very busy. So one of the biggest thing that has been in the news is some of the anti-Jewish, well, I guess Jewish hate that has been in the news lately. And I just, before we get into any of this, I just want to dispel all of that and say if you guys put comments like that on this video, they will be deleted. This isn't a space for that. So like with finances, for people who haven't looked into it, Jewish people by definition don't have the most money in America. The religious group that has the most is the most economically prosperous would be Hindu people, but Jewish people do tend to be more wealthy than the average American. Do you think there's anything that is in the Torah that allows people to be more Jewish people to be more successful than average?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And I don't think it's metaphysical or spiritual necessarily off the bat. I think it's just basic certain principles that you see within the Jewish community for thousands of years. And first of all, most of the Jews for the last 1,000 years had very limited financial opportunity of what they could do, meaning, all the ones in Europe weren't able to own land, couldn't have normal jobs. The really only thing they were able to do was be money lenders because the Christians don't believe in lending money to each other on profit, and the Jewish people were allowed to. So this was basically, how Jews got into so much money stuff, I guess, in Europe that they're associated with Jew gold and money and all that stuff came from that reality. So I don't think it was necessarily the Jewish people's fault that they got so into money and the relationship to money, and that's how they're identified today. But the Jewish people, I've seen this. I'm sure everyone knows it, but I will go into it from my perspective. We all stick together, so it's not each man for themselves out there. It's we're one people, one nation, one heart, and that's not just a saying; it's in principle. So everyone, we know Jewish people when they spend their money, first of all, it's going into the Jewish community first. If you're going to hire anyone, if you're going to do any type of relationship, it's going to be with someone that you know and trust, and it's within the community. And when it comes to hiring and when it comes to recommendations, whether it's a lawyer or a doctor or anything, we stick together and we united. So even if I don't know a certain doctor in across, in California, but I want to get access to him to apply for a job, I probably know one of his cousins who prays with one of my cousins in a synagogue in New Jersey. And, within 2 or 3 phone calls, I'm on the phone call with the guy in California. He doesn't know who I am. But I'll say, hey, I go into such and such synagogue. Here's my rabbi. I know your cousin knows my cousin. I'm in. I passed the verification system. Anything in the world. He'll treat me like his son. He'll give me all the love in the world. The guy never met me before, and he'll trust me, and I'll have opportunity through that. So we hold on to whatever we can, and we share it amongst ourselves. And I guess it could be not nice or not fair, but I think that this should be practiced amongst all types of people in America who feel affinity and brotherhood towards each other to create those brotherhoods and try to stretch those brotherhoods for this trust. So it's not an exclusive club necessarily. It's just very strategic and full of love and trust.
Great, great, great. So off of that, do you think, I guess because in the Talmud, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Nathan teaches that Egypt, part of the reason why they enslaved the Israelites was like a heart of materialism, more or less. So how, I guess like rabbinically, do you separate the love of money from like money has a real purpose in real life?
Well, it's so deep of you to just go right there, and it's such a deep teaching because we teach that the nature of the servitude, the slavery in Egypt, wasn't like what we think it is, that you're being whipped and you're being beaten and like, all these things. It was almost as if it was some sort of voluntary slavery, which is a little of a controversial term. I know Kanye once dropped such a comment that, we're voluntarily slaves, but today that is true. And so back then in ancient Egypt, the Israelites, they started probably working on some deals with the Egyptians, and they were getting paid good money, and they're like, wow, this is a good culture. And a generation or two later, they're there for hundreds of years. Don't mind the motorcycle sounds. I'm in Brooklyn over here, and they got the whole thing. And a generation or two later, the Israelites were like, they made their God the money of this service, of this stature, fitting into ancient Egypt, of trying to look like the ancient Egyptians, dress with them, go to their parties, trying to level up with them and trying to be with them. And it's a rat race and it's cutthroat, which is exactly no different what's going on today in America, how
Mm.
people have turned money into their God. And Jews and non-Jews alike fall into this category of grave sin and idol worship. You know, and idol worship is the worst thing you could be doing in the Torah and for the people of Israel. But that doesn't mean you can't love and chase after money, because it really depends on what your intentions are with that money. So let's say, for example, for me, I'm trying to put together a few $1 million right now because I want to buy a building in Jerusalem to make a synagogue, you know? So I got to get that paper, quote unquote. I have to go for the money. I have to figure out how to manifest lots of money, but I want to do something good with that money, right? Now, let's say it's a different thing in America. I'm like, you know what? I actually want to go out and live that life. So I want to go to the club and I want people to think I'm valuable because I want to bring them home. So I think I got to get a Bugatti or a Lamborghini so people think I'm something that they're going to want to roll with. So when I go to the club, I get respect and honor. So I'm going to chase and work as hard as I can to get that Lamborghini. Then I'm going to get the outfits. I'm going to get a house. So God is worshiping all this money to this position of honor. And finally, he gets all this stuff, the nice clothes, the car, and everything. He goes to that club, and guess what? He feels empty. Nothing inside of him is feeling good still, because it's a world of fakeness. He realizes his soul is deep down. He's like, no one's interacting with me for me. This is not genuine interactions that are going on here. These are all false narrative, false conversations, and it's actually draining. And it's like tiring. So he's gonna go home. He'll bring some girls back. He'll party. He'll do it for some. After a while, he'll start to say, "I have nothing left in me. I don't even feel it anymore. I'm not enjoying it anymore." And this is like literal slavery, because he's giving his whole time, his whole energy to pay for money to impress other people that don't even like him. It's a total sickness. So the issue is not with the desire for money. It's why you want it. What's your intention behind this want of money? What do you plan on doing with it? And then it creates either a healthy system or not, and decides whether the creator of the universe is going to bless you or not. Because let's say you say, you know what, I want to make a certain amount of money just so I could even give 10%. I can give my in Hebrew we call it maaser, my tithe back to the community, so I could support local greenhouse, community events. So this guy's on a healthy pursuit because he's already pre-marking charity in his brain, and that's why he wants to make a lot of money so he can give it. And it's fine. And there's even certain category of Jews, you'll see they'll make a big, nice donation, but they put their name, you know, like this family name and this family name. And it's like, you know, well, why do you want to do that? Are you doing it for the honor, or are you doing it for the sake of giving goodness? And we say, you know, even if they're doing it for the honor, it's okay. We'll let them do it for the honor because it's still a good cause. But everyone knows deep down inside, the highest way to give, you don't even put your name on it. You just give.
Right. Exactly. So I guess I got three things with that. First, if it's okay with you, I would love to share a link to help get you some donations for you, you know, in the description box of this bio. If that's okay with you?
Yeah, listen, I appreciate it. All those donations can go to feed the poor families of Jerusalem.
Okay. So if you would just send me the information where I'll put the link in the description that he sends me over. So you guys can help out to his cause for him helping us out and giving us this good information. Two, I would like people to notice, especially some people in the African American community who are watching this, that they're not moving on all one accord. Rabbi Harry just gave a couple of examples where people are doing things that not exactly everyone agrees with in the Jewish community. They do move together, but it's not a monolith. And three, I guess specifically, like where in the Torah is, I guess not where, how in the Torah is work ethic valued? Is that a big thing?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, we have a thing that's teaching that says in Hebrew, I'll say it in Hebrew, then I'll translate it. It's derech eretz kadma l'Torah. So being like a respectable, honest, straight human comes prior to the Torah. So it's like, it's all fun and games. You got the Torah and you're keeping the commandments, but if you're not a good person, you don't even have that Torah. It's not even called Torah for you. It's something else. You got idols going on in your life if you're not a good person. We also teach when you get to heaven, the first question they ask you, are you honest in your business dealings? So all Jewish parents teaching their kids from a very young age, first question God's going to ask you when you get to heaven, were you honest in your business dealing? Question numero uno.
Can you repeat that
And
one
then
more
we
time?
have, yeah,
Can you repeat that one more time?
yeah, when you when you depart from this world and your soul goes to heaven and you're in shock of what this transition is, and you're in this spiritual place that could be overwhelming for you and you don't know how it's going to end up for you, you're in front of the heavenly courts. The first thing that's going to decide your position is they ask you, were you honest in your business deal? My grandfather, who lived 108 years old, he told me that the only reason he lived till that long and didn't worry one day in his life, he did not take one penny that did not belong to him. And he went through World War I, World War II, went through a few wars and came to America with nothing. Didn't take not even a penny from anyone that didn't belong to him. And so, and not saying every single Jew practices by this, but if you want to be a practicing Jew, this is the reality. And there's even full tractates of Talmud. You could spend years studying the financial laws that the courts of Israel wrote down 2,000 years ago on what happens if someone loans some money and the person dies. And basically any single case you could ever think of in a business transaction that could have ever transpired is in the Talmud. And you're getting, ancient wisdom from the courts of King Solomon on how we should be fair about that based on court precedences that had happened in the times of Ezra and Nehemiah, 2,000 plus years ago. And you learn all these nuances about every single type of transaction and business that could happen between two people. It's mind blowing. The tractates are, you have Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Batra. You have some of these tractates and you have Sanhedrin that are dealing with all these laws. It's mind-blowingly fascinating.
Oh, and for the people who want to look it up, it's tractate.
Yeah, tractate. Like even if you look at Baba, it's called Baba Metzia, like BAVA, METZIA. You'll see these laws dealing with what happens if you're walking with your friend on the street and you see some money on the side of the road or a valuable item and it's ownerless. First of all, how do we know if we're supposed to look for the owner or if we can keep it? At what point is it for everyone to take, and what point do we have to find the owner? There's all these details about that. And then what happens if I'm like, yo, I got dibs on this thing we see on the corner, but my friend touches it first, so he's touched it before me, but I was the one who called it. It's like I call shotgun the front seat of the car, but your brother got there first, so who gets it? So they're dealing with like micro nuanced cases like this. Let's say we both get it at the same time and we're both grabbing for it. What do we do? How do we split it up? How do we go fair? And you're dealing with the most intricate and nuanced cases of all these types of transactions that could happen between two humans. What happens if your cow is walking by my field and steps on my field and ruins some of my harvest? It makes a difference. If the cow is this the first time he did it, the third time, all these cases are considered. And then after this, we have commentary. So you got court cases from these business matters from 2,000 years ago we're studying, and then we're studying the commentary on these court cases. So you have these boys, Jewish boys at the young age already, 6th, 7th grade, are studying in-depth law on all the business matters that you could imagine.
And then that probably helps with some of the business acumen too. You get to studying that early and having the laws from generations and that connection to your past. That's probably deep.
Police reported
Right.
Ooh, okay. So this interview I think is going really well. And let me ask you this. So I think a lot of people watching don't know about some of the things. I guess my question is, how much is it a cart before the horse thing, or a horse before the cart? Jewish people, as you know, have a lot of expenses, especially if you consider maintaining the dietary law. Bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs aren't cheap if you're going to do it right. How much of, I guess, people being fiscally responsible, having a lot of children, like if you're going to have a big household, all these bar mitzvahs, how much of Jewish people tending to be better on average with money comes from the lifestyle that they know they're going to have to live as a Jewish man or woman?
Yeah, and keep in mind also private school. So to pay for yeshiva for kids can be anywhere per kid, $15,000 to $30,000 a year per kid to go to a private school. So if you got 3-4 kids, you're over $100,000 just in sending your kids to school. That could be a normal person's year salary that the Jewish person has no option because there's just no option. You have to send your kid to a yeshiva, to a Jewish school. So there's extreme pressure as a Jew to upkeep a certain lifestyle that your wife demands and expects of you, that you got to upkeep. And it's super stressful for a lot of men, to be honest, out there. And when a man works his hard and he doesn't have enough money to take care of his family and he's broken, it's the worst pain a man could ever go through, not being able to have enough for your needs. So this is also like reason number one why like Jewish people try to keep their jobs in house, is because we know that the need is real to upkeep the religion. We need my neighbor's kids to be in yeshiva. I need my neighborhood's kids to be in this Jewish school so we could have enough money to pay the rabbi to be the guy, because otherwise we lose everything. If we don't have Jewish schools, we've lost everything. So we create this whole system, and some people you'll see will make, $80,000, $200,000 weddings, which is absurd. It's crazy. But the guy made some good business transactions. He's got a few extra $1 million, so he does it. It creates a very unhealthy lifestyle, though, for other Jews who can't afford to make such a big, lavish wedding. So it's like not the nicest thing to do, to make the biggest. You want to be humble with the whole thing, but some families who we know could afford it and pull it off, they pull it off and it's no problem. But there's another term in for the Jewish community where we have these community centers for the families that can't afford things. There's like pooled money for them. So let's say I want to make a bar mitzvah or make an event and I can't afford it. No problem. There's already like a wedding hall in Brooklyn that's already like prepaid by a philanthropist that, a $5,000-$10,000 wedding you'll have for no problem. You don't have to pay anything. The
Beautiful.
girl doesn't have a gown, no problem. We got a gown rental system here for free. She could pick the gown, drop it off. Every aspect. You need an apartment after the wedding for a week or two, no problem. We got you. So no one gets left behind. So the game to keep up is tremendous, but if you can't, we won't let you fall through the cracks. Basically, no one falls through the cracks.
That's
Everyone
beautiful.
gets a wedding, everyone gets everything. You'll get it minimal.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And a bar bat mitzvah on average is probably like 1040 G's, right? Just for people who don't know, but never priced that before, right? Could you hear what I was saying?
How expensive they could be.
Yeah, like 10 to 40 on average, somewhere in there.
Easily. I mean, listen, I've been to bar mitzvahs that are 80 to $100,000, and it's just 50 to 60 people with a big caterer eating, and they go away for the weekend because the son's going to read from the Torah. It can get super expensive. So what usually happens is you hope that the in-laws and the parents both chip in.
Hmm.
So couples are usually not in their own. Most couples in the Jewish community now don't pay for their own wedding. It's almost unheard of, for a young couple to pay for their own wedding. The wedding is paid by for the parents, and if the parents can't afford it, it's the parents' responsibility to go to the local community center to tap into whatever resources are available to have a subsidized wedding. And it's just super expensive. So when the boy turns 13, you have to invite the whole family, the neighborhood, the rabbi, you have to make a big meal. You got to, and it's a lot of pressure. And as unhealthy as this pressure may be, we've been doing it beautifully for thousands of years. So we're not going to let a few fancy people ruin the spirit for us now. It's really about a spiritual moment and togetherness, which doesn't require a lot of money. It's just the pressure to upkeep got so strong. But there are certain communities, like in the Hasidic community in Williamsburg, they don't really allow people to go too overboard. So, $5,000, $10,000, you could knock out a pretty nice event in some of these places.
Okay. Have you seen the peer pressure break anybody?
Oh
Like
yeah,
it
big
just
time. Big
okay.
time. Because in Judaism, we believe in this term called shalom bayit, which means you got to have peace in your house.
Hmm.
And most often, this results in men serving their wives. The man is taught in Judaism, you serve the wife. If your wife is happy, you have the divine presence in your house. So a man's got to serve his wife. Now, this man's wife needs a nice bar mitzvah. You know,
Yeah.
she want she wants nameplates, and she wants to send nice invitations and a party planner and photography, and it gets so overboard. And the husband is like, "Oh man, I got to keep up with this. I got to keep up with the whole thing." And it's so much pressure for a man who doesn't have this type of money. It could destroy him. So as a rabbi, I try to give strength to some of these men, and you try to make some good introductions for people to help them, and you give them some ideas, because no one can fall through the cracks. So they go to a rabbi or someone they trust, and they talk about the hard struggle they're going through, where their mental health is on the line because they got to come up with a certain amount of money by a certain amount of day to make this thing, and it gets real. And
Yeah.
different solutions happen. Sometimes you're like, yo, don't worry, you were there for us. I got 20 friends I know who love you. We're all going to put in $500 today. We got you.
Beautiful.
And, and we'll pay the thing. So it's by hook or by crook. We get the job done. But for some people, the stress of surviving in America today on a lot of the Jewish people is so unbearable that the mental health epidemic is shaking us also.
Oh, wow. And what's going on today also is inflation. So with everyone having a lifestyle it's a little bit more expensive than the average American, does it get more, do things tend to get more expensive faster in the Jewish community because everyone has a bigger family and et cetera, et cetera?
Big time, big time. The Jewish people feel the inflation because they're tied to so many different type of economies. Even, to pay for the kosher certification, the ingredients going up and this goes up, everything goes up, properties going up, everything goes up. But you do see a lot of the Jewish people is they'll make overnight moves to new cities and take over in a matter of like a year or two.
Okay.
So for example, you can like look into, just an example place in New Jersey. Jewish people lived in Lakewood, a ton of people there. Houses started to get too expensive. People couldn't upkeep with the Joneses over there. It was busting at the seams. So they went a few towns down to a place called Jackson, which houses were much cheaper and it was nice houses, good space. And they flocked it up and said we could post up shop here, but all the real estate. Then they, while it was cheap, and then building synagogues, get on the town board, start voting, influence the politics over here. And for the local people, Jackson, they're probably like so upset, like, wait, whoa, what just happened? Like a flock of geese just showed up and took over the town.
Yeah.
But this is this is the side effects of what unity looks like when a block of a few thousand people move to somewhere cheap where there's land and start jobs and start in-house hiring each other and working with each other. You make an overnight economy. It's almost a phenomenon to look at it and see how it unfolds. So Jewish communities by nature for 2,000 years just keep on expanding and branching out. That's how we got to four corners of the world, basically.
And that's so interesting because I guess like since Christianity is most popular religion in America, the beginning is based on the Torah, but there is such a difference in the attitude towards wealth. I don't know if the Talmud speaks on that. What do you think is the difference? Where did that difference in the attitude comes from, if you have an opinion on it at all?
You mean in regards to Christianity?
Christianity, yeah, on their attitude on wealth.
Well, Christianity is a whole nother trip because most of what you have from Christianity came to the people through the Roman pagan church, and these were people who have consolidated wealth and we're not interested in the empowerment of the people. So the Torah seeks the empowerment of the people. The church seeks the empowerment of the church. So it makes people slaves to the church. But if someone would look into, not that I believe yes or no in the Jesus narrative as it is, as a Jewish rabbi, it's not for now to discuss. But if you would look into the writings of what they did write about him, it would seem he was a man who was seeking to liberate the people who were serving money as their god, is saying we've been corrupted. And we know in Second Temple period, there was corruption. You could buy the priesthood and be the high priest of Israel if you had enough money. There was total corruption. And it seemed like this was a man who was just like a nice guy who's like, guys, this is not the way to do it. We got to be spiritual, cannot serve. But the church didn't really like pitch that when they redacted all these texts. They're just like, they didn't even let people have a Bible for like how many, 1,000+ years or something. They were like, we're the exclusive holders of this information. We're not even empowering you with the information. You just got to pay us to hold it.
It looks like you're getting ready to go. Can I ask you one personal question?
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to go, but I have let's say 6 or so minutes for a nice wrap up.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a personal question.
Yes, of course.